right. So, I'm here today to read out to you a a certain announcement from our dear Lord and uh, whatever you want to call him, Kevin Warren. You know, decided to post a statement today on the December 17th, 2025, on a fucking Wednesday. And, at 5 p.m. So clearly this was just a last minute rush out before he had to leave because he maybe works a 9 to 5 hourly schedule. An open letter regarding the Chicago Bears stadium project. You gotta think, okay, maybe we're actually gonna get somewhere. And, maybe they've decided to move it back to Chicago, or maybe they've decided to, actually, invest all of their money into it and, act, accordingly, like they have billions of dollars to spend. It's almost like this team makes money, a shit ton of money. I'm sure the jacket that I just bought, well, I didn't buy it, but I got for, my birthday a month ago. $100. Most of that's going to the Bears, at least some of it. Dear Chicago Bears fans, and this is his moment to, gas the shit out of everyone. On the Monday night of our home opener, September 8th, 2025, I don't want to remember that date. The passion in every corner of the Soldier Field was palpable and powerful. Today, 100 days later, maybe this is why he did it 100 days. I don't fucking know. He probably just did it on an unrelated. Hey, it's 100 days. Woo! That feeling is even stronger. We've had a strong win this past weekend at Soldier Field in record-setting cold temperatures. It was against the Browns. With your support and encouragement, we have won 5 of our 6 home games this season. The one we do not talk about. You support this team with 2 regular season home games remaining. We are focused on building a championship organization worthy of you. Now, they keep home games, home games. Setting a great tone here, Kevin Warren. Same standard has guided our work on a new world-class stadium. It doesn't need to be world-class. We just need a stadium that functions better than Soldier Field. Earlier this season, we shared that Arlington Heights is the only location in Cook County that meets the requirements for a world-class NFL stadium. Yeah, you bought the land, no shit. We believe it offers the best and only path forward in Cook County, given that there are no other viable alternatives. Right. Over the past several years, we have worked in good faith with the Illinois leaders, in making our clear our commitment and readiness to invest more than $2 billion by the Chicago Bears, one of the largest private investments in state and NFL history. We're to throw that in, but okay. We have not asked for state taxpayer dollars to build the stadium at Arlington Park. We asked only for a commitment to essential local infrastructure, roads, utilities, and site improvements. Interesting, which is more than typical for projects of this size. Additionally, we sought out reasonable property tax certainty to secure financing. I don't know about you, but I think that's asking for state taxpayer dollars. Let's hear them out. We listened to state leadership and relied on their direction and guidance, yet our efforts has met with no legislative partnership. Okay, the stakes for Illinois are significant. I keep saying Illinois. I'm so sorry. It's thousands of union jobs, funny union jobs, throw there, year-round attractions and global events made possible by a fixed roof stadium that would provide long-term revenue for the state. I don't know why that's capitalized. You can just write it in lowercase. Come on. For a project of this scale, uncertainty has significant consequences. Stable timelines are critical, as are predictable processes and elected leaders who share a sense of urgency and appreciation for the public partnership that projects with this level of impact require. What, like the weird incident with the Chicago mayor that everyone knew was a total dick sucking? Okay, well, maybe that got someone else. We have not received the sense of urgency or appreciate to date. Yeah, no shit. The Illinois government has way more things to deal with. All right. There's like sieges happening in their own fucking cities. Duh. They got other things to worry about. We have been told directly by state leadership. That's what I think it is. It's like state leadership. Our project will not be a priority in 2026, despite the benefits it would bring to Illinois. Okay, benefits. Okay, so temporary jobs. Building a stadium 45 minutes outside of Chicago, where most of the fan base is. Fucking up the residents of Arlington Heights by having, giant thing put in them. NIMBYs, gotta love them. I don't think there's many other benefits. You have the reason to actually build the stadium in Chicago. You do realize that the White Sox have built a stadium in Chicago? Just saying. Okay. All right, let's just move on to this next paragraph. Okay. Consequently, in addition to Arlington Park, we need to expand our search and critically evaluate opportunities throughout the wider Chicagoland region. Okay, Chicagoland. Including Northwest Indiana. Northwest Indiana. Now, do you know the only relevant city in that fucking place? That fucking region of Indiana? Gary, Indiana. Do you want your football team to be called the Gary Bears? Because in my opinion, that does not generate money. And that does not generate goodwill with the fan base to move it from downtown Chicago to Gary, Indiana. What are you doing? But, okay, let's hear it out. This is not about leverage. The literal next sentence is literally, this is being, completely ignoring the fact that they are trying to expand our search. And this is not about leverage. What are you doing? Kevin Warner, what the fuck are you doing, man? Your whole job, the whole reason why they brought you in after Ted Phillips, the worst president in Bears history. The only reason they brought you in was to build a fucking stadium. And here you are, years later, still not anywhere near, apparently nowhere near close, to building a stadium. But okay, let's just hear this man out. Okay, I've said this millions of times, but you still gotta hear him out. We spent years trying to build a new home in Cook County. Why you have to say Cook County? Whatever. We've invested significant time and resources evaluating multiple sites and rationally decided on Arlington Heights. What about this? Our fans deserve a world-class stadium. I mean, yes, but also, you play wherever, and if you're going to be dealing with this, they might just kick you out, and you have to go play in Evanston, but whatever, it's fine. Our players and coaches deserve a venue that matches the championship standard they strive for every day. While, yes, we do have 10 wins, we haven't won anything since 2006. Okay. With that in mind, our organization must keep every credible pathway open to deliver that future. Credible. Northwest Indiana. Are you for real, man? Northwest Indiana. Northwest Indiana. That is where you want to put your Chicago Bears. In a completely unrelated state. You know how fuck that is. That is absolutely stupid. And then there's just, this whole thing, called the Chicago home for more than a century. The commitment to the city will not change, despite the fact that they have said this. They're also moving to, again, a place that is 45 minutes outside of downtown Chicago. Playing in the oldest and smallest stadium in the NFL. Yeah, because you fucking made less seats in your renovations. You downgraded the amount of seats. Now, that can work. Memorial Stadium, if we're going to throw out Nebraska real quick, Memorial Stadium is going to be losing the amount of seats, not because, the program is terrible and they've been trying to, keep that, streak alive of sellouts or whatever, but because the seats are so goddamn small. All right, and this is not, I am a fat American. I don't have the wide-ass hips that a good amount of people have in this state, but they are pretty damn small. They are about the size of, 6 feet. Maybe not even, no, not 6 feet. They're more like 4 feet of space. And that's barely enough. You can barely move your arms sometimes. It's stupid. It's probably not even 4. It's probably closer to 3. Like, that's not good. That's not good. But they're going to downgrade the amount of seats so that you can have, more space. And also maybe not the hottest seats or the coldest seats, depending on the context. That's a okay downgrade. But what you did to Soldier Field was downgrade the seats and make it so mangled that it was taken off of a World Heritage Site. Bro, at least it can be demolished. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Build a world-class football team that has a world-class stadium worthy of our world-class fans. A stadium that reflects the future we are building together. You are not building a future here, buddy. You are building a future where you are getting the fuck out. If George McCaskey wants to have any goodwill with this team, all right? If he wants any goodwill for the Chicago Bears fans, you should be firing this man tomorrow with this godforsaken statement, okay? I better wake up to see that he is either in a press conference or a scheduled press conference and is going to tell everyone that he has fired Kevin Warren, okay? This was already a terrible hire. You went from a guy that was meddling in football and just didn't really give a shit about how football goes. He tried meddling in it and he never was able to hire anyone good. To a guy that also couldn't hire anyone good and got lucky by the fact that Ben Johnson decided to stay for another year as the Lions offensive coordinator instead of going somewhere else. Instead of doing the sensible thing and firing Eberflus the year that we got Caleb Williams. We could have had this year's success, a good amount of it last year, okay? But instead we had to suck for another year, okay? And may have gotten us, some quality players, Loveland, Burden, some pretty good pieces for the offense, okay? But what's that? We could have had at least some of that success. We could have at least had some sort of foundation instead of, a very not that great one. And to release this on the most important Bears versus Packers game in over a decade, more than a decade probably, to release it then. To release it now is fucking stupid. It is a disgrace to the Chicago Bears fandom. It is a disgrace to have, it's a disgrace to anyone that, follows the Chicago Bears. To think that, he thinks that we want a world-class stadium no matter where the location is. We may want a world-class stadium. But we would happily have a stadium that isn't, world-class, as you might say. But it's in fucking Chicago. We don't care if the stadium is, average. We would care if the stadium is shit, like the one that's, sitting in Landover, Maryland. But we wouldn't necessarily care if it's just okay. Because that is exactly what we expect. That is exactly what Soldier Field is now. Mostly because you mangled it, but that wasn't your administration, Warren. That was the other administration. Like, it's hard to keep level-headed in this. Like, your team is going somewhere that it hasn't really gone in years. Since 2018, this team has had 2 500 finishes. An abysmal season where they finished with the number 1 overall pick. Another abysmal season where it looked better, but in reality it really wasn't. But you still got the number 1 overall pick because of another franchise's ineptitude. And then to waste a Caleb Williams season because you didn't fire the coach that you should have fired. You just fired him way too late. You shouldn't have hired him in the first place, but the thing is, like, the best time to make the decision about hiring a good coach was before you hired Eberflus. The second best time to get rid of him is right as the season ends, and right as about you're gonna draft a new quarterback. No, you have to waste a Caleb Williams season. We only got like 4 years, 5 years of this, a rookie contract before he asked for $60 million. And I presume that's the QB market by that, 2030. He's going to be asking for that money. Are the Bears going to pay that up? I don't know. Because of how cheap this organization is looking. In this whole ass, thing. Oh, you're going to spend like $2 billion? Okay, you're going to spend $2 billion. But who covers the cost overruns? Who covers the cost overruns? In 99% of things that are even partially, even slightly covered by the state taxpayer, the cost overruns are going to be paid for by the state, by the county. It is going to be paid by those people, not the Chicago Bears. It's happened time and time and time again. Remember the Rams, that built that new shiny stadium? Like, the cost overruns are like almost 3 times the amount of money that, the Rams sunk in. Or the initial investment. The initial, it's going to cost this much. And the entirety of the city is on the hook for it. Maybe. Partially, at least. That's what cost overruns is. It goes directly to the state. And the thing is that they've already set up, okay, so here is, the things you're going to be, they've already had, ways that that they're going to be paying for this. Well, that was with that, dick sucking incident for the Chicago stadium. Why do you need, you have to give the state a convincing argument as to why you need this state fund? Why you need state money to build a stadium for a private corporation? And as of now, you are saying you are not giving a good reason as to why. Do you even think that Gary, Indiana has that money? Do you even think the entire state of Indiana has that money? Okay? They don't have billions of dollars just lying around. They don't even have billions of dollars in future investments that are just lying around. They, both the Illinois and the Indiana governments are not going to be that stupid. So why are you even trying this? Why are you even... You're just pissing off more people. You're pissing off more of the fans. or pissing off more of the Illinois and the Illinois government, you're just going to get this pushed back even further. And this could end with you having your head on a pike outside of Chicago. All right? Maybe even on the Arlington Heights field. I don't know. But it will more than likely end with you not getting the stadium that you want, being out of a fucking job. You didn't even do a good job as the Big Ten commissioner. You got to remember, this guy was willing to cancel the 2020 Big Ten football season. Was willing and went through with it. Sacrilege. And it took, Nebraska trying to fucking schedule 10 non-conference opponents. And, the bailout of at least Ohio State to get this season that season underway. Okay? Without Nebraska's starting initiative, there would have been no 2020 Big Ten season. There would have been no Ohio State national championship appearance. None of that would have happened because of Kevin Warren. And that is exactly why I figured this would have never been a good idea to hire him in the first place. And now, I have been unfortunately proven right. Even when almost everything is going the Chicago Bears' way, we have finally figured out how to win close games. We have finally figured out how to win games that would have normally just been heartbreakers. We have finally figured that out. The Bengals. Remember that? That game, I was 100% sure we were going to lose after that onside kick. Yeah, we still pulled it out. We weren't the team to fuck it up more. That's a revelation in this Bears era, all right? Remember we had to rely on a blocked field goal to win? You remember when we had to rely on Jake Moody to make a game-winning field goal? Those things have never happened in the Chicago Bears era. In the past, 20 years. That hasn't really happened at all. My lifetime. Never really happened at all. And this is exactly what you decide to do. You decide, I'm going to run with the momentum of this and try and, squeeze a couple $1 billion out of the Illinois government. Really? This is what you do? Are you fucking serious? Are you really trying to politic a 10-4 season as of now? Are you really trying to do that? Because this is the reason why the government has not given you money. This is the reason why you do not even have close to a new stadium. This is why you just shut up. Just shut up. You don't have to say anything. You literally do not have to say any of this. And yet you did. And that is a disgrace. That is a disgrace to the Bears and the loving fans of this place. This is a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. Not only are you having been years trying to move this fucking franchise out of the city of Chicago itself to a place that is 45 minutes, probably more on game day, outside the Chicago area. But now you are attempting to move it 45 minutes, not even outside of the, city of Chicago, but 45 minutes out of the fucking state of Illinois. How can you keep your job like this? If George McCaskey has any fucking sanity, this guy needs to go now. And I know he won't do it. They held off on firing Eberflus for so goddamn long. But please get this guy out. Because he is trying to politic a good season performance into trying to get a stadium. Into trying to get a, tax-paid stadium. Really? Really? Are you trying to bangle this way? Because this is not going to work. This shit is not going to work unless literally every single thing goes right. Okay? I don't even think winning a Super Bowl will even get this team to have a new stadium by whatever weird deadline that you have. Okay, we are still years away, apparently, from getting this new stadium. Right? Or not even getting it, or even just starting to get this new stadium. Isn't this what you were supposed to prevent, Warren? Weren't you supposed to get a new stadium, like, within a year or two? Because it's been more than a year or two. You've only bought land. You haven't even started building anything. You just bought land and are still trying to squeeze as much public money out of the Illinois government as possible. Again, it could still work. Unfortunately, it could still work. But as of now, with the statement that he's put out, he has definitely lost any goodwill by the state, by the county governments, lost any goodwill by trying to pull this shit. And I hope it bites in the fucking ass. Because sitting in, Soldier Field, it's not that much of a rotting dump. Alright? It may be small, but okay. That's fine. You're still making money hand over fist with those fucking ticket prices. My God, $300 for a goddamn ticket. Really? Really? You're still making money hand over fist. Why are you complaining? Why do you think you have to make another $1 billion? Why? You don't need to. I get this is the only source of income for our, glorious owners. Because they decided to go all in on football. They didn't even bother to do anything else. All in on football. That's it. It's not even like, our owners are propped up by anything that is, oil or, real estate or none of that. Because they were the original founders for the NFL. That's all the money they had. But now they have billions. They can make their own goddamn stadium. They can spend all the money that they can. And maybe, okay, you do have to, maybe ask for better roads. But, you're really trying to ask for a reasonable property tax certainty. You're going to make enough money from this shit anyway. In fact, they might actually demand more with this statement. They might demand for fucking, they might demand for, okay, well, a percentage of the revenue for the next 50 years. That's ours, bitch. We'll give you tax money, but only if you pay up. Please go hard at him, Illinois government. Whatever government is involved with this, please go hard on him. Because this is unacceptable. This is absolutely unacceptable. It's, you put enough words into it, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough to describe the absolute betrayal of this fucking team. You are trying to piggyback off of a great start. The only great start since 2018. With trying to, wrangle more money for this stadium project that seems to never get started. Why? You could have just shut up. Could have just shut up. And move on, Wait until after the season is over. Wait until the off season to start doing this negotiating process. Because it's not working right now. Please fail. I would love for this to fail, please. We don't need a new stadium. We don't need to move this shit all the way to Gary, Indiana. We don't need to move this to Arlington Heights. You are perfectly fine just staying in Soldier Field. In fact, that is exactly what you deserve. A small stadium for a big fan base. Because you're making money. You're making money on, shirt sales. You're making money on, the overall NFL, money-making machine. You're still making money. So why bother? Oh, you can host, one Super Bowl? One Super Bowl. That's pretty much all you're going to get out of this. One Super Bowl. Is that really worth it? Because in my mind, that's not worth it. That's not worth it at all. Well, I want to say more, but I can't. I, it's just all bad. I wish for failure for this project, right? Because at this point, it just not work. It's just not working. It is. It's making us a joke, an absolute joke, and I hope Kevin Warren understands that. It's making a joke out of the Chicago Bears, and that is a tragedy. Thanks for listening to this rant. See you guys on Saturday.